Hi all. I have a story and an offering today that I hope will be of service to you in your journey. Some of you who know me know that I was widowed at 27. And for those of you who don't, you know now. It was sudden. My husband died in his helicopter on a nighttime training mission in the desert of Nevada. And that was my grand spiritual awakening that has put me on this path for 25 years now of seeking and discovering and being open to the mystery. When I was 28, deep still in my grief, I got this incredible flyer in the mailbox for a tour to China. to China. I don't remember the name of the company, but the brochure was beautiful, and I wanted to get away from myself. I wanted to get away from this new, hard, painful, very upsetting life that I was in, grief-stricken and raw and so confused. I took this trip, this 3+ week trip to China with a small group of people. I think we were less than 20. And it was about a 3.5 week journey. Mainland China, all around, terracotta warriors, the Great Wall, Xi'an, floating down the Yangtze River, which now has a dam. When I was on it, we were able to float through the three gorges on a riverboat. It's been dammed, I think, since then, for sure. And Tibet, which was just incredible to be there with the Tibetan people in the Potala Palace. I mean, things that most people can't have the experience of anymore. I had the pleasure of in this grief-stricken state. And China itself was quite extraordinary and eye-opening and dark and desperate, and most of the people that I could communicate with, when I would chat with them, there was no vision of themselves in the future. It was quite dark even then in 1999 when I went. The end of that trip was a 3-day excursion, kind of like a rest before coming back stateside after that whirlwind major exploration of mainland China. Made our way to Bali for kind of respite and resting before flying back to the United States. And at that time, there were local elections happening in Indonesia. We were in Bali, and there was great civil unrest. And there was a smaller group of people now, because it wasn't everyone on the China trip. It was just a smaller amount of people who had chosen this extra excursion. In Bali, that was my first time there. I've been back half a dozen times since, and it is an incredible place on the planet. Very beautiful energy, highly romantic. Not a place to go if you're newly widowed. I don't recommend it, but I was there. And we were taking a tour. I don't remember exactly when it was. We're on this tour bus. And of course, I had made friends with some of the people I'd been on tour with for the last 3+ weeks. 2 of them were these older ladies at the time, maybe in their late 60s. Hard to know about age these days. And they knew my situation, and I think one of them had also been widowed earlier in her life. We were on this tour bus, and because of there were some local elections that were happening, and stolen elections and major civil unrest. There were protests happening in the street. We didn't really know how bad it was because we weren't receiving the local information. But there were protesters basically on every major road that we turned down, and they had pulled debris out into the streets and blocked the streets, and were burning tires and burning wood and blocking any kind of transportation in the area that we were in. And every time our driver would make a turn to go down a road, there would be a blockade and people shouting and angry and fires and debris. And with every turn that he made, that that led to us turning around and going another way, my system was getting more and more agitated. I was beginning to get steeped in my fear, like frozen, my traumatic response that I'm diligently working on in my day-to-day process of freezing and fawning was full on terror. I was in terror. I was sitting behind these two women and sweating and kind of starting to tremble and being very worked up, like not knowing what to do. Could feel the energy of everyone on the bus getting very, very still, very quiet, very uncertain. And I remember asking the women, like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? I was just like kind of beside myself, agitated, super afraid. And one of these women turned to me and she said, we can't all get upset about this. Some of us need to remain calm. And I didn't get it at the time. I couldn't understand why she wasn't in the same energy that I was in. It didn't comprehend that she could be calm, that she could be peaceful, that she could be relaxed, that she could be that soothing presence. As she spoke this to me, I felt judged. I had my own unconscious stuff happening, and it was a radical statement, disbelief. And of course, I could see that she was in a much different place than I was in, but it didn't help me at the time. Of course, that was a wise elder. I know that now. Of course, I know that now. We eventually got off of that bus, got on foot. I guess our driver had gotten us as close back to the resort as he could have gotten us, and we followed our tour guide and this bus driver through some woods and onto the beach, and then made our way back to the resort without incident. I also want to mention the presence of a priest who was in one of the Twin Towers. I don't remember which one. Some of you may recall this story. There was a priest. I really wish I could honor him by speaking his name, and I am honoring him, not knowing his name, because he died in the towers, praying for and tending to the people that were there in chaos, in fear, in agitation, in discord, in terror. He went into the building and he tended to the souls, and he died in service to the light as a peaceful and calming and harmonizing and balancing presence to that horrific tragedy where so many people in such a short amount of time popped off planet. He held the balance as best he could with his own consciousness, with his own heart, with his own peace of mind. These are two instances. I know there are more. I'm imagining that you could recall in your life someone who holds this energetic in the midst of chaos, in the midst of the storm, that they are connected so deeply to themselves, to spirit, to God, to life, that they are unwavering and not altered by what their reality is reflecting back to them. It may be clear to you now why I'm telling you these stories today. If it's not clear, I want to make it more clear. It's important to realize that we're in this field and that not all the players on the field are benevolent. There are nefarious actors at play, and some are quite powerful. Some may be local, some may be in your nation, some are global for sure. We can identify them. It's not necessary to do that, to know and to not be naive about the fact that not everybody here at play is looking out for you, has your best interest at heart whatsoever. So it's important to know that, and then to anchor through your heart, to anchor through your own truth, to be really discerning about not only the characters that are at play in our shared reality, but the information that's at play not being truthful, not being helpful information for you. It's up to you, it's up to us as individuals to discern the information that's at play and to hopefully be in a positive mindset about how you want to contribute. For those of you who worry about my making these videos while I'm driving, I just want to remind you I'm in a very, very small mountain town, and there are hardly ever many cars on the road, and these are backcountry roads, so know that I'm an exceptional driver. My situational awareness is astounding, and my reflexes are fantastic, and I really like talking to y'all in these ways. It may be more relevant than you can understand, than you can realize, where you are spending your attention, what has your focus, what has your attention. We've all been through COVID. Some people are sick again with COVID. This started long before COVID. The fear mongering, the propaganda that we thought was happening in World War II has never stopped happening. There is propaganda being pumped out daily, and you are receiving it. I am receiving it. We've been programmed by it through our educational system, our religious system, our political system, our medical system. It is really hard to discern when one system is flared up with fear, agitation, depression, anxiety, whatever you want to call it. We tend to start living in survival mode, and we cannot resolve what's at play from a state of survival. There's not the extra juice for it. There's not the juice to imagine the creative solutions, the creative opportunities, the spaciousness to think about creative problem solving when you don't know if you're going to be able to pay for your electric bill next month. Strangers waving at me. I love that. It's up to us individually to learn how to modulate and regulate our nervous system so that we can discharge the fear that's pummeling us through our technology, through the news, through talking with your friends and neighbors. Have you noticed how much people want to talk about the war in the Middle East? How much they want to talk about the Ukraine? How much they want to talk about neo-pronouns? How much they want to talk about their hatred of Donald Trump? How much they want to talk about the problems in the world? This is not a helpful practice. This is part of the problem. And if you are speaking to it, you are part of the problem, not a part of the solution. You must stop giving your energy so freely to these entities. You're feeding it. You're feeding the whole reality. You're feeding it with your fear. I've done this. In some ways, I still do it, but at least I'm more and more and more mindful about the impact that it has, not only on my system, but on then my contribution to the collective. Honeys, you're contributing to the collective right now. What are you contributing? What are you contributing? If you're afraid, that's what you're contributing. If you're anxious, that's what you're contributing. If you're grief-stricken, that's what you're contributing. And I'm not going to judge you for it. I'm just letting you know that that's what's actually happening. And I want to let you know it's time for you to take accountability and responsibility for your contributions. Only you can resolve this. Only you. Only you can turn this thing around. Only you can turn it around. Take this message for what it is. We must stop feeding the fear, and we must start doing that individually so that the collective energetic can tip, so that it can shift, so that we can make the turn, that most of us want to see, that we think is going to happen when somebody that's not us is going to take accountability and responsibility and fix it. That's not how this works. That's not how this plays out. It's not an easy message. I've got a lot of energy in my chest around it because I've been considering it and doing my part for so many years now, and my nervous system has relaxed. I've released so much trauma, more to go for sure. Those of you who know me know that I'm working through my mother wound, know that I'm working through my father wound, know that I've worked through so much grief. There are, you've heard me say it, tools and strategies and modalities and help out there so that you don't have to feel like you're doing it alone, although the deep, intimate, energetic shift is yours to make. You're alive on the planet, whatever that means. Is it holographic? Is it the Matrix? Is it just your consciousness alive in some 1 and 0 system that we can hardly comprehend? Probably, more than likely. We're not in base reality, but it seems like we wake up every day in a new day. So why not feel empowered by that instead of underneath it? If you are feeling so afraid about what's happening, especially with the wars that are being promoted, encouraged. It's just a great opportunity to awaken. It's a great opportunity to be brave enough to do the deeper work, the inner work, and then to see how not only your personal life stream can change, but how this collective, energetic life that we're all sharing can change into something that feels more stable, grounded, possible, beautiful, prosperous, abundant than what's at play now. But if you are consuming tech, if you are consuming the news, if you are consuming war energy, then that's what's consuming you. I would encourage you to stop that, at least temporarily, to do some clearing and some healing work, and then to see what your nervous system feels like, just as an experiment. I love you. Long message. Bless you if I still have your attention. Bless you if I lost you 10 minutes ago. Reach out if you need help. Reach out if you need support. Use your breath. Use your breath. Use your breath as the anchor to your own truth and well-being. I bless you. I thank you. There's hope for each of us. Take really good care of yourself and each other.